What's going on, traders? So today we saw NASDAQ drop pretty nicely, but also a little choppy. Now this was caused because of some negative comments we got from a Federal Reserve speaker. I'll bring over my analysis channel inside Day Trading University, and you can see the time that I sent this headline right here, 10:05 a.m. Eastern time. And you can see down here, I said, we'd be looking to see if NAS and equities drop. Now, if we take a look over at NAS around this exact same time, this is when NAS started dropping right here, and we got that follow through to the downside. And as far as gold goes, for some odd reason, it decided to have this massive reaction here when Trump made this random post on his social media of a video. And if we come back to the analysis channel here, you can see I posted it. I caught Trump's post within 38 seconds. He posted a 34-second video, and gold, this is what it was doing, and it dropped within seconds. So I'm gonna break down my gold buys that I took here, and then the second entry right here, which if I bring over the analysis channel again and I scroll through here, you can see this is my entry on gold buys for the first one, and then I posted the second one right here. And then we'll come over to NAS, and I'll talk about the buys that I took here, which I ended up closing manually, the buys that I took here, which this one I ended up taking partials here and then break even, and then the sells that I got in on NAS here, which when we zoom out on it, we can see the sells were a much better play, and I'll explain why I also didn't want to hold these sells on NAS. And at the end, I'll give you my outlook on what to look for on NAS and gold tomorrow. And just because I like trading NASDAQ doesn't mean you can't take this same strategy and apply it to things like US 30 or SP 500. Jacob is one of our traders inside Day Trading University. Where I'm taking sells on NASDAQ, he's taking sells on US 30. When I'm calling it equities, NASDAQ, US 30, and SP 500, I just like NASDAQ better, but this can still be applied to other equities. So let's start with breaking down NAS. I want to try to do this in chronological order to break down the things that were happening in real time. Now, the first entry on NAS right here, I typically am not a fan of entering NAS outside of stock exchange open unless if I have reasons, usually like headlines or data or something like that. If we look here, the stock exchange wasn't opening for another 30 minutes, which is the entry here that I'll break down. But this entry here, the reason I was getting in on it is because I actually did have reasons to be looking for trades. I'll show you the news feed, both inside Day Trading University. Around 8:30, 8:50, we had the US Commerce Secretary making comments. Number one, the first headline is about China extending the deadline for 90 days. Now, this headline, Trump has spoken to key tech leaders. I'm gonna show you a second headline. Came out the exact same time, just on my other news feed. 8:51 a.m. Eastern time. Right here it says, Trump told tech companies that he will not charge tariffs if they build semiconductors in the country. Now, there's potential that this could be good for tech stocks. NASDAQ is made up of all tech stocks. So this is a reason for me to want to look for upside on NAS. And when we take a look over at price action on NAS, it's hard to see it because you see it playing out already, right? But when we look at this, I like that we were holding support. We had a bullish engulfing candle at support, and yeah, maybe a risky entry because it's not stock exchange open. I'm fine with it. I did end up closing the trade though because it was just consolidating. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just wait for the stock exchange open. But my bias hasn't changed. I'm still looking for upside, right? NAS drops a little bit. I'm still looking for upside here. This at the stock exchange open is when I entered somewhere around here. If we have the recording, we can put it here. You'll see my actual entry. Now, taking this actual trade really isn't as simple as just entering on the closure and letting it play, because in real time, there's a lot of volume, there's a lot of volatility. And a lot of things I like to look at, maybe we'll do a whole video on just how to trade NAS or equities, is the volatility index, right? This is something I like paying attention to because usually it's typically inverse NAS or equities in general. You see how it pushed up here, NASDAQ pushed down, but watching that in real time is something I really like to look at. And the second thing is the NAS top 8 companies. I like to watch these because these are the companies listed in NASDAQ. It's not like it's a secret or anything that these are companies that impact the price of NAS. So if I can see them moving in one direction, it increases the chances of my trade playing out for me. So we play out NAS a little bit more. I'll show you, you guys have already seen what the other entry looks like, right? But I'll tell you why I entered this. We take a look at the time. It was at 10:05 a.m. Eastern time. So these are the headlines that I was sending inside Day Trading University in my analysis channel. Now, all of the headlines were actually coming in here in the newsfeed, but I'm sending the more important ones and also just letting everybody know, like, hey, there's a Fed speaker talking, and then on the bottom, I'll talk about what I think the headlines might mean, right? So you can see here, I said, we'd be looking to see if NASDAQ and equities drop with the Fed speaking worried about inflation expectations. So this should actually be bad for NASDAQ, good for gold, which I'll cover gold in a minute, but this time right here at 10:05 in the morning was the same time that I was looking for this drop in NASDAQ. You take a look at NASDAQ, and if I put the volatility index on here, look what the volatility index was doing. So we were seeing that spike up at the same time. I also had reasons to be looking for NASDAQ to drop, which is why I ended up taking this trade. Now, I wish I had held it longer, but at the same time, I'm not really bearish on NAS. So I'm happy to take the sells on NAS, which I've been doing twice this week now. You can see here, I'm more impulsive on NASDAQ buys, and I'll keep trying for it, but I'll scalp the downside in the sells if I have reasons for it, which, like I just showed you here, this headline is a reason to be looking for it because we have a Federal Reserve speaker just giving some type of negativity towards tariffs, towards inflation, and this kind of stuff can make the markets think, hey, maybe we're not going to cut 2 interest rate cuts. So we get that short-term drop. Now, to most people, it might just look like a drop to get back in buys, but when you can identify that there's a headline causing the drop to happen, for me, that's the best time or a higher probability trade to take than just hoping to take NAS sells because you think it's going to drop. So we'll switch over to gold here, and this one was wild. So this was my entry, and it looks really like this, but that was just a screenshot of me being in the trade. The reason I got in on this, actually I posted it in the Discord here, I told them inside the analysis channel, seeing the drop on gold makes no sense. So I took it back up, but I'm already break even just in case, and then still seeing some inflation fear talks from the Fed speaker. This right here too, the inflation talks, is a reason for me to be looking for upside on gold. That's what this second entry was here. We take a look at this at 10:25, 10:30, and then this is just me breaking down gold. We're still seeing inflation talks. I want to see if this helps gold push up too. This was the headline from them. It's surprising how markets have shrugged off the price impact of tariffs. So what that means is like, they're seeing the price increase and they're just surprised that the markets don't really care. We're not seeing inflation expectations really rise that much or the market's reacting to that. So this negativity was another reason for me to be looking for upside on gold because gold has a correlation to inflation expectations and the downside on NAS. This was the entry right here. This is just me responding to it where I posted it. Overall, still really just consolidating on gold. So going into tomorrow, we don't have any economic data. We take a look at the economic calendar inside Day Trading University. We just have Canada unemployment data. So I guess if you're trading CAD, and also China has inflation data coming out. The markets will be closed here, but 9:30 Eastern time. So no high impact data that we have to worry about. And even though this is an aggressive drop on NAS, I still can't see any real fundamental reason to be looking for like an intraday or a swing trade drop. So if this holds support and I can catch a reversal, I'm still going to be looking to take NAS back up. Now, to be fair, I'll still take sells if I get reasons just like I did up here, but because my overall bias is still looking for upside on NAS, I can't see any reason for me to be wanting to hold this entire move or expecting this to happen. Now, this is different. We were expecting this to happen, and those are the moves that I want to take. And then we'll take a look over at gold, what to expect here. You know, from a technical perspective, honestly, it's choppy. Like, yeah, I can just draw a trend line. I can do this higher high, higher low nonsense. Gold really doesn't even respect a trend line or market structure like that, at least in my experience. And you can look at this price action and you can see that it really doesn't. These are not clean higher highs and higher lows. I'm sort of 50-50 on gold in terms of a bias with an overall bias of looking for buys. So, I mean, any of these zones, I'd just be looking for pullbacks to take buys. The only thing that I'd be concerned about is the fact that inflation did still come out lower last month. So the fact that gold does follow inflation expectations, we are seeing it rise for the moment, but the data still hasn't really been showing it. 50-50 on gold. I really don't like to say that, but realistically, you can just play the zones if you get a pullback here or breakouts here. At the end of the day, the economic data, the fundamentals is going to be the best time, just like you're seeing, to catch an opportunity for a trade. So if we see something about tariffs, if we see some type of geopolitical tensions, those are the things that you're going to want to look out for to take a trade on gold.